More than a year and a half into the pandemic and 1 year into vaccines, the third and final part of the TriCounty Health Department is now leaving.
Cardiovascular exercise is good for your heart, despite what some people are saying. We're talking with a cardiologist and our 9 health expert about how to keep your heart healthy.
We're preparing for a major windstorm heading for the foothills. Our meteorologists are tracking it to try to keep you safe. 4 o'clock at 9 News starts now. It isn't normal. Fire danger in December. There were 2 small grass fires that broke out late this morning, one of them in Highlands Ranch that burned nearly 20 acres before firefighters could get it fully contained. The other just off I-70 near Byers. That burned nearly 100 acres in a fairly remote area. Well, we know that Colorado is warm and dry right now, but even worse is windy, and it's going to get much windier. That means any fire that starts could be one that spreads quickly. The National Weather Service among the many reminding people not to do anything that might spark a wildfire today or tomorrow.
The high winds are also putting us at risk of power outages. XL Energy is staffing extra employees to prepare for high winds, and they're reminding people to stay away from any down power lines over the next few days. We are seeing some windy conditions today, but nothing, really nothing like we're going to see tomorrow. Danielle's in the Weather Center with our first look at the forecast. This is going to be something worth remembering.
Unfortunately, you guys, but hey, we have today and we can get prepared for what's to come. Right now, of course, the worst of the wind will be positioned in the Front Range foothills, but we could easily see wind gusts upwards of 70 to 80 miles per hour here around the Denver metro area. Right now, this high wind warning, it won't go into effect until 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, but you can see everywhere in purple all of eastern Colorado through the foothills under this at least through 5 o'clock tomorrow. Wind gusts, again, upwards of 80 miles per hour. Up into the foothills along those higher peaks, we could easily see 100 mile per hour wind gusts. On top of all of this, as you were mentioning, we're already starting to see those wildfires, grass fires burning today. Tomorrow, we are going to have extreme fire danger with red flag warnings in place for much of eastern Colorado. Again, as humidity values are less than 15%, it is so brown out there and so dry, so any spark really will allow a fire to get going tomorrow. The winds still breezy in and around the Centennial area, 25 mile per hour gusts up toward Kenosha Pass, Loveland Pass, 20 to 30, 35 miles per hour. But really, this is nothing compared to what's to come tomorrow. Temperatures have been extremely mild today. Look at that 66 in Littleton, low 60s around Centennial, some 50s right now in northern Colorado. The clouds drifting in, a little bit of light snowfall toward the San Juans. As we zoom out, you can see the storm system starting to push in across California, Nevada, upwards toward Idaho. Heavy snowfall coming through up toward the high country, and then extremely gusty winds truly for the entire state. As we go throughout the rest of this evening, we'll just be tracking a few clouds out there. Now early tomorrow morning, 7, 8 a.m., we might even find a rain-snow mix here around the metro area with that snowfall continuing up in the mountains for much of the day. So here's what you got to do. You have that holiday decor, you have Santa on the rooftop, you have some reindeer out front. You got to make sure, probably just bring them in, secure them. They might end up in Kansas, who knows, down the street. Guys, like you were saying, down trees, down power lines certainly will be a possibility tomorrow. Plus, we have a blowing dust advisory. Low visibility also going to be a problem here on the plains, and then probably we'll be looking at blowing snow up into the mountains. So your Wednesday, going to be pretty messy. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news.
No.
Okay, we know.
I know.
Things that come to mind, at least in the weather department, I think of Corey Reppenhagen's scarf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your hair, Kathy's hair.
Just all over the place.
Yeah.
So tomorrow,
Lauren's hair. The long hair is not going to be good tomorrow.
Tomorrow is a ponytail kind of day, ladies.
Yeah, it is.
You know what I'm talking about.
All right.
But we'll get through this together.
Yeah, it is amazing to see these numbers and see what's coming our way, but the warning really helps and hopefully gets a lot of people the chance to get ahead of it.
We certainly hope so.
All right, we'll talk to you more about it in a few minutes. Thanks, Danielle.
Days after the tornadoes touched down across 6 states, destroying entire towns and killing dozens of people, Kentucky's governor is on the ground surveying some of the hardest hit areas. Right now, at least 88 people are dead, and the majority of those deaths are in Kentucky. Governor Andy Beshear says he believes that number will continue to rise as the National Guard is sifting through the rubble. He estimates the financial cost of the damage will be hundreds of millions of dollars. The governor has pledged help for the victims, and President Biden has pledged federal assistance as well. And tomorrow, the president will visit some of the towns that have been devastated, including Mayfield and Dawson Springs, Kentucky.
Well, the name tells the story. It used to be 3 counties. Now it is none. Today, Arapahoe County Commissioners voted to leave TriCounty Health by the end of 2022, making them the last of those 3 counties to exit.
Douglas and Adams County said they would do the same thing earlier in the year. Luis De Leon joins us from the newsroom. And Luis, you just watched this meeting for us today. And a lot of people are saying, okay, so now what?
Right. Well, Tom, Kim, Arapahoe County essentially has until the end of next year to form a new single county health department. After all, by law, Colorado counties have to have a health department at all times, no gaps at all in services. So in the meantime, TriCounty Health will still be the main provider, and they also keep their authority over public health orders for now. So there was little more than an hour of public comment before the vote, with a huge majority of people wanting the departure to happen. Pretty much everyone who spoke said it's because they don't like the mask mandates, among other things. At the end of the meeting itself, several commissioners gave their input on today's decision, some voicing their opposition to mandates and others saying the push to vaccinate people needs to continue. Overall, they acknowledge that the issue is contentious among the public and at times themselves.
My hope is that even though we have disagreement here on our board, that we can continue to have civil conversations, that we can honor each other's differences.
Now, as for what's next, while TriCounty Health keeps its services going for the 3 counties, they'll also be working with them on what a new health department could look like. In a statement in part, the department says that, along with their employees, keeping up those services is their top priority. Now, as for Arapahoe County, a spokesperson for the commissioners says a new board of health won't be formed until they're much closer to actually establishing the new health agency, so we're still a ways from that. Tom, Kim, overall, expect to see, honestly, pretty little change between now and the end of 2022, unless, of course, something unforeseen happens.
Well, I think we know now by 1-1-1-2-1-3, they all leave, that something's got to get done and figure it out on their own.
Absolutely.
But something else could happen, Luis. We never know.
Never know.
And we'll turn to you again. Okay, thanks.
It's December 14th, and today marks 1 year of COVID-19 vaccines in the United States. It was a year ago today that the first shots of Pfizer started to go into the arms of healthcare workers. Since then, nearly 500 million doses of vaccines have been administered, and just about 60% of the American population is considered fully vaccinated. Colorado's numbers slightly higher than the national rate. Nearly 64% of our state is considered fully vaccinated against COVID-19. The definition of fully vaccinated continues to be flexible, though, now with the spread of the Omicron variant. Some studies show that a booster shot may be required for full protection against the new variant. The director of the CDC, Rochelle Walensky, reiterated the need for vaccines and boosters this morning on Today.
So what we know about variants is that the more mutations you have, the more immune boost you need in order to combat them. So that's exactly why we're saying this variant has a lot of mutations. We want to make sure that we have as much immune protection as possible. Get the vaccine if you haven't gotten it yet, and if you're eligible for a boost, get that boost because you'll have more protection.
The majority of new cases in the U.S. are Delta, but the Omicron variant has now been found in 33 states nationwide, and there may be some low-level community spread here in Colorado. Just within the last few minutes, our state's health department confirmed a 3rd known case of Omicron, this one coming from Jefferson County. It was a woman who had recently traveled to Africa. She is now currently isolating. And right now, testing from sewage samples show the highest level of COVID since the beginning of the pandemic, despite the fact that positivity rates are lower than in the past. 9
News reporter Angeline McCall spoke to the director of one wastewater treatment plant that's been testing since last year about the change he and his team have seen.
All of the sewage from Inglewood and Littleton comes here and brings with it a revelation about COVID.
What we find is actually the wastewater is more of a leading indicator of the positivity rate in the community.
Director Peter Van Rye of South Platte Renew says data now shows the highest positivity rate since they began testing in March of 2020.
The data is a little bit more volatile than it has been in the past.
These results show just how volatile. The concentration of COVID has almost doubled since last winter. Samples are taken from the sewer intake, then processed at their on-site lab.
I think it's a good data point to consider with the full suite of information that is provided through positivity rate, hospitalization rate, and wastewater loading. I think when you take all of those pieces of information, that's what helps health professionals make better decisions in terms of how to respond.
Right now, the samples and data collected don't align with the state's positivity numbers from testing. CDPHE says wastewater surveillance and the data it provides is potentially revealing information about infected residents who are asymptomatic or not seeking testing. The team at the plant continues to look for trends and hopes to understand what's happening with COVID and potentially one day with other viruses in the future.
Coronavirus, I think, has really ramped up that utilization of wastewater epidemiology in a way that has gotten much more interest in the subject. And I would anticipate that down the road we'll be looking at utilizing it for more situations in the future.
In Inglewood, Angela McCall, 9 News.
Colorado's health leaders say given the level of community transmission, they expect to find the virus in all the wastewater analyzed in the state.